All right. Hello, everyone. Paul Tranny back with Jess Telmanik. Jess, how you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you guys so much for having me here today. So exciting.
Well, it's good to have you here. Feel free to chime in, everybody. Make sure you can hear us and see us and all that good stuff. It's going to be a good day. Right, Jess? Is it going to be a great day?
This is probably the best Monday I've ever had.
Oh,
Aside
yeah.
from like the nervousness, definitely the best Monday I've ever had.
Oh, good. Good to hear. Yeah, it's only going to get better, and I love the attitude. I'm into it. Let's keep it positive, folks. So, yes. Hello and yes. All right. Mallory gives us confirmation. Cody Bear does as well. Looks like everybody could see and hear us loud and clear. So this will be
Yay.
fun. All right, Jess. Well, I don't know if it's okay if I just kind of let you introduce yourself.
Of
Kinda
course.
yeah.
So
Tell us
hi,
about it.
I'm Jess. Jess Telmanik. I'm a freelance graphic designer and illustrator. I've had kind of a long route into this world. I originally went to school in 2001 and was a dropout and went many years back. Many years later, I went back and got my degree. So officially, I've been doing graphic design for 6 years now. But I do come from the time back, when we had before InDesign. Um, I what we're going to do today is actually a positive doodle, and it's kind of my coined phrase for them. I have always had a lot of anxiety. So about 6 years ago, I decided to start doing these doodles. And basically, it would be instead of sitting there and freaking out about this going this way or that way, that thing going wrong, I would force myself to sit down and spend anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple hours, and I'd find a quote that would resonate. So, sometimes it could be as simple as, "You got this." And instead of having that negative replay in my head, I would focus on that message, and it was an outlet for my anxiety. So today,
Nice.
we're going to be playing in Fresco, and I've been using Adobe Fresco for a very long time. I also apologize. I thought I turned off all my notifications, but apparently not the important ones of the hands.
That's funny.
Um, so we're going to be using Fresco today, and I love this app. I was very fortunate to be part of the pre-release program last year, and it just is on such a different level. I really, really appreciate all of the work Adobe's done. For those that haven't used, pardon me for a second, I'm going to get rid of my notifications. So when we're drawing, they are going all over the place.
Especially if people know that they're popping up on your screen, they'll purposely
I love the love. Thank you for anybody that checks out my portfolio. I appreciate you
and actually,
all so much.
while you do that, I'll just kind of click over to the schedule, just kind of remind everybody
Perfect.
of it.
And then I'll continue what I was saying.
Yes, fantastic. Let's pick up where we left off. But yes, we have Jess for 2 hours. We're going to do an artist spotlight before the end of the stream. And then next up, we have the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge kicking off as well. So all the Daily Creative Challenges kick off today. Video editing for 2 hours after that with Alvia and Zach. XD Daily Creative Challenge, again, day one for all this stuff. Design in the Dark with Happy Impulse and Andrew as well. So that's the schedule, and you could always see it below us. But looks like you got your notifications turned.
Fingers crossed, we're good now.
I'll switch over to your screen too, if that's all right.
All right,
Cool.
So everyone, you might be familiar with this program, you might not. This is Adobe Fresco. It was released in the last year, and I kind of feel like it's game-changing in terms of drawing and illustrating. There's a lot of stuff I could do in here. For example, live oil paints that I never could because oil paints gave me major migraines. But it kind of combines a few different tools. So we're going to kind of go over those, and I'm going to do a positive doodle for you today and kind of show you my creative process and kind of show you some of the different things you can do within Fresco. But most importantly, our quote today is, "Everyone is creative." I truly, truly believe this. I think a lot of people think about art and they're like, Well, I can't draw or I can't paint, so I'm not creative. If you garden, make music, theater, coding, there's so many different ways, cooking, that we can be creative. So I actually would, hi, Michelle Moore. You are my best friend and I love you. And thank you for being here from Pittsburgh. Um, had to. But I would love the chat if you guys could give me some things you think of about what you think creative. Like it could be a plant or baking, or I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on, what is creative that most people overlook as a creative skill. So
Yeah. We could talk all about that. I think, who I think are really creative are comedians.
Yes.
Actually, too. Because they're like, a whole joke is like the unexpected. That's what that whole punchline is. And that's why I think, like comedians are so creative.
And I think anyone that brings laughter into the world, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Just like take people by surprise, like surprise yourself, and surprise yourself with like what you can do. And that's why I'm like, you're diving into, Fresco right now. Just like have some fun and see what happens.
Play with it, like have fun, create something. The wonderful thing about drawing and illustrating on an iPad is there's an undo button or layers or erasers, and you can't really do that with other things. So what I'm going to start off right now, I'm just kind of going to do a watercolor wash background because I want you guys to see the live watercolor brush. Because the first time I tried this out, I just sat there and I'm like, whoa, you can do that and like on an iPad. And you can zoom in and that color, like it works the same way. Now I'm going to do a much bigger brush. Otherwise we'll be here for a long time. But you can have so much fun playing with the colors. And, I've talked to a few people actually within Adobe Live's chat that they agree this is just like one of the most therapeutic, calming thing to do. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even have to be, you don't have to come in here and go, oh, I'm going to create this masterpiece. You can just sit and play with colors. And I don't know, I'm not going to share how much time I spent literally doing this when the program first came out. We'll just stick with it. It was a lot of time. And it's always my number one thing to share with people when I tell them about the program. I'm like, well, you got to check out what you can do with these brushes. And it's just amazing I do love working with traditional watercolors. Not how you probably should. I like bold colors. So I usually put a lot on there and it's thicker paint than watercolor should be. But it's so cool to just, all you need is your pencil and an iPad, and you've got this whole creative studio in front of you.
I'm into it. Just to read off some things from chat, like Kevin says daydreaming, in my opinion, is a way to get into creative state of mind. Kind of like you're doing now. It's just like you're not really even thinking about anything. You just like laying down colors. And Anthony says lyrics for music. Also, Corinne, DIY, like home improvement stuff is super fun, super creative. Into it. Just to give everybody a shout out.
Yay! Everyone that's joining, thank you for being here.
Who's Julia?
Love it.
Julia Telmanik.
That is my cousin.
What's up, Julia?
She is just as creative, and we've been slowly getting her into drawing on the iPad. So she's amazingly talented too. I'm happy you're here, awesome. Julia. She works nights, so this is actually very early for her too.
That's cool. I think also, by the way, in the brush, and I'm sorry if maybe some of that's getting covered up, like you can adjust the amount of water that bleeds and all that fun stuff off to
I'm so glad you brought that up too. Yes, you can adjust if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, you can adjust your water flow. So you can make it so it's 100% water, or you can bring it down. Oh, also you can do your flow. So you can do just a lighter water. So it's more of a wash, as well as you can adjust your flow within your brush. And that's so with both of those down, it's very, very, you probably can't even see it in the left upper hand corner. There's a very light wash happening. It's very, I actually kind of find this a lot easier to use than with actual real life watercolor. Because this way you can actually go, all right, I want 95%. I want my brush to be, giant, which also you can't see what I'm doing here, but the magic of undo within all the Adobe iPad apps so far, 2-finger double tap, and it just takes you right back. All those times you're creating something, you're like, oops, that was an accident. That was a mistake. There's no mistakes or accidents in art. Yeah. But this does make it easy to rewind backwards.
Yes. And I think you can remove the color.
Yes.
I think you could take out the color altogether, like you're saying. So you could just literally like you're painting with water.
Yes.
I think that should do it.
So there's it's a clear option. So you can kind of, I know what you're talking about. I actually, if anyone in the chat knows how to do that, I would love for you to teach me. Because I do believe there is a way to do that.
Yeah, it might just be taking down the transparency. I don't know. But something else we'll actually do, which is really fun, Jess, is you could actually import a photo and you can turn that photo into a pixel-based image, and then
yes, you can.
It's like it's wet paint at that point. So
you know what it reminds me of? This might be aging myself again too. But when I was a kid, I used to get the coloring books that had the paint dots on them. So you could just take water and a paintbrush, and it would turn it into a painting. It would, activate all the color. And that kind of reminds me, I've played a couple times with a photo in Fresco and gone and turned it into a watercolor feel, and you have so much control over it.
Yeah, super, super cool. So yeah,
right.
we'll show all these tips, and feel free. Love seeing the comments come through. Haircuts and coloring is also creative as well. Awesome.
Yes. I go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no. I was just answering questions. Ravindra, Fresco's great for beginners. I will say that I will say actually what I've wanted in Fresco are outlines. Just sometimes people don't know to start with a blank page. Just give me an outline like it's a coloring book. Give me a coloring book page, and then let me just paint over it. So I think that would be kind of fun to do.
And I mean, a way to do that would be importing a photo.
Yeah,
with lines.
But I think they should already have it built in on the home screen. We already make those coloring book pages anyways. We should put them in there.
That would be great for kids.
Yeah, right.
I mean, with the tutorials that they already have, that would be an awesome preloaded thing for people to get into it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think this is a great app actually for kids because it just covers so many things. So the next brush I'm going to use, this is why Fresco is such I feel like a multi-punch design tool, is I'm coming over here to my left-hand panel, and these are vector brushes.
Oh yeah.
I know I have a few people watching that aren't, really familiar with the design stuff. So basically, if we look at this and I zoom in on Fresco, if I keep zooming, eventually I'm going to find pixels. And pixels are those little blocks that you see there. Now, with a vector brush, the easiest way I've always put it is you can zoom it in 1 billion times and you're still going to have this super, super clear, crisp line. I'm at 12,000% right now. No pixels.
Love it. Nice and clean.
I've always been a fan of kind of drawing out shapes, and I'm going to start working on my lettering here so I don't keep everyone here for the rest of the day. Yeah. I don't know, for my hand lettering, I typically like to do clean lines, and sometimes I'll come back and switch this to a pixel-based layer. And see, I got my random line there I don't want. Sometimes will come back and turn it into a pixel-based layer. That way I can go and use one of the brushes over it. But it's really cool if you design this in Fresco and you export this. You can export files into Illustrator, which is, vector-based. And in theory, Fresco could easily be used for logo design if you're using the pixel brushes.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Just reading comments. Yeah, you can. Thank you. Sounds like people are absolutely love Fresco. Sarah Nielsen says, "Love Fresco. It's changed my career and creative life." That's awesome.
Oh yes.
Do you actually? That's a good question, Ariana. Do you have a screen protector over your screen, Jess, or no? Or you just draw on it?
No, for being totally honest, my iPad has a lovely hairline fracture from corner to corner, which happened like a week after I got it.
Oh man!
But it doesn't get in the way, and you can really only see it in certain lights.
Yeah.
I'm working on the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. I think that's right, the bigger one. And on my previous iPad, I did have a screen protector. I had one of those that gave it like more of a texture to it, which I liked. But I think I finally, after a little bit of time, I got used to drawing without it. I do have a case on my iPad though, because this is my life. Mm-hmm. This is my favorite materialistic object, I guess you'd say, is my iPad.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, so sometimes the screen protectors, like I do have one on mine. It does two things. It will add a little bit of grit, a little bit of a little bit of grab, so it's a little bit more like paper. But it will make your screen maybe slightly hazy, so it's like a give and take. Like you add that texture, and then you're gonna, So those are the pros and cons. I know a lot of people like paper-like is what it's called. I think they're out of Germany. So
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, paper-like. But yeah, try it. Yeah, so sorry, Susan. Fresco doesn't work on Samsung or Droid devices just yet. But yeah, that's the...
But I believe it does work on some of the... It doesn't have to be an iPad Pro, correct? Yeah. There's other iPads it does work on.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull that up, like the system requirements, because it also works on Windows, some Windows touch devices.
I actually wasn't familiar with that.
Requirements.
And for everyone watching, I am semi a perfectionist, and then honestly with these, it's always been more of a therapy thing. And I just stopped worrying about being perfect because that's time I could be spending creating.
Yeah, I agree. Perfection's a tough one. Like, just get something done, get it out there. It's not that big of a deal. Like, nobody's gonna look at it anyways. Nobody cares. It's not that big of a deal.
I've done positive doodles over the years where I misspelled the word perfect and posted it on social media. Yeah. And everybody's like, haha, that was witty. I went, what do you mean? And I went back and looked at it and I'm like, oh yes.
Man. Please tell me you misspelled it.
Yeah, that was totally planned. Yeah, no, definitely not. So what I'm doing right now, which is another thing I love about digital drawing, is I'll go back. Over here, you have this tool with the arrow. You can move your layers around, which I find is really helpful with any kind of lettering because you can kind of be precise about your spacing. You can also then go back here and get your selection tool and select individual items and move those around or make it larger. And this is the kind of magic you can't do with paper, although I will forever love using, non-digital art techniques.
Yeah.
And down here is how you deselect it. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I used it, I kept going, why won't it? Like, why does it keep going back? So I have my basic lettering done and I'm going to save some time. I want my lettering to be solid and I'm just gonna use my paint bucket tool, which is over on the left, nice little paint bucket. And I'm hoping I closed all my lines. If I didn't, we're gonna see it go through.
And sometimes do you, I don't know if you do this or not, do you sometimes duplicate a layer just so you have a backup or something? Do you?
All the time. Some of my files end up being and see, right there. There's one where I didn't close my line. I do that when I'm doing graphic design work as well. I'll have, if I'm working in there we go, lines that aren't closed. If I'm working in InDesign, Photoshop, I have a tendency to hide layers or make additional pages. I've learned in years of working that no matter what you do, oftentimes throughout your creative process, you'll go back and you'll be like, oh, I was right on that. Like I had the best idea and then I went this way instead. I wish I would have saved that work.
Yeah.
I would rather take up a little bit of space and have that file just like hanging out. And that way, if I decide to go that route. So yeah, definitely on iPad, when there's a layer option, I'm using that. And since you brought that up, I probably am going to duplicate this layer just in case.
Do it.
So to show you guys how to duplicate, you're going to go to the right and we're going to tap on the three dots that I can never properly remember how to say that word. Ellipses.
Yeah, ellipses.
Okay, I always call it the three dots.
Yeah, 3 dots. Everybody knows what you mean when you say 3 dots.
Good. So over here, we can actually do a few things. We can completely delete a layer, clear a layer. This is also where you can do stuff with the masks, and you can convert. If I wanted to change this vector, because we were talking about how that makes it so there's no pixels, they're clean lines no matter how you zoom up. If I wanted to make it into a pixel layer and then use some of the other brushes over it, this is how I would do that there. But I just want to duplicate this and to show you there's now 2. I am going to just hide this layer so it's tucked away in case I want to use it for layer. And I'm also going to move it all the way down to the bottom because I just want it out of the way. Now we've used some of the live brushes, the watercolor brushes, and we've used the vector brush. For this next part, I'm going to be using the pixel brushes. But part of that, what I asked earlier in the chat, like different ways we can all be creative. I actually used Adobe Stock, and I have this already preloaded just so we don't have to wait for anything to open. And I actually have some vector images from Adobe Stock that I found that kind of represented different little symbols, which I also need to move to the front so you can see it. And to move a layer, which it doesn't want to right now, so we're going to go that way. Nope, not there.
Yeah, and that's, yeah, I hear you.
Yes, the grouping of the layers is sometimes great, and other times I'm like, no, not you.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things where you do something and you're like, oh, think smarter. Let's just hide these 2 layers right now, and then I can show you what's underneath. So this is a vector image I pulled up from Adobe Stock and was able to license it. And I just created a new layer, so these are already in here and ready to go. And sometimes I'll use traditional photos. Other times we'll go kind of simple, which is what I did for this. I thought more basic, the shape, the easier. Because if I was to make detailed masterpiece today, we would be here till, I don't know, October. I don't know if anybody's busy, but so this is one I love just because it has all the different art supplies. I love this paintbrush. So this is kind of going to be one of my motivation ones. I think I'm going to try and pull this out of here, which I'm going to copy my selection. Oh, you can't. There we go. I was on the wrong layer. If you try and select something and you're not on the right layer, it's going to tell you no. So I want to, I've been doing this for a while. I know you can't tell.
That's a good buy, by the way. That one Adobe Stock image, you get like 50,000 things in it. That's pretty cool.
All of these, and you can just use them for whatever. All right. I want to pull you up. Nope.
Do you need to
help me out, Paul?
You might need to go to your Photoshop layer, and then do the flat and do convert to pixel layer down at the bottom.
See, that's why I have a pro with me today. I don't know if you
don't-
checked out
I actually am
fall
not sure if
stuff.
it's going to work, but go ahead and paste it.
Let's try. Copy selection. That is what I needed. And that is what I was missing. Because now I can go back. Oops. I can go back and I can hide this layer, but I still have my little like inspiration over here because I like that one. Yeah, there's actually some really great options for vector-based icons and images. This is another one I liked. Let me move my little gardening out of the way. My little paint palette. For this gardening one, because I do not have a green thumb. I've killed lucky bamboo before. So I've always been very amazed and in awe by people that can grow these massive gardens, and you know they literally feed themselves off of everything they grow. I did not get that superpower, and I'm okay with it because I have a lot of people in my life that have that power, and I do find that growing plants, you're creating something. So I actually think we're not going to cut out anything for this one. I'm just going to possibly throw in some like flowers and leaves at the end. But I did want to just show everybody like there's so many different forms of inspiration. So many icons. I'm going to grab this one as well. So let me convert you to a pixel layer. I'm going to come in here and cut this out. I have to give a little shout out to, you know, the DJs in the world and the vinyl. I love it. So we're gonna copy selection, get a new layer and paste you in there. And we can hide this. So I'm getting my little like kind of inspiration, and I'll go with some traditional ones. I meant to ask, what were some of those other suggestions? We had like baking and...
For what
yeah,
makes them creative.
What do people think of when they think of creativity that people don't traditionally think of as being artistic or creative?
That is a good question.
Let's see here.
So people said like do DIY stuff around the house. We had hair coloring and stuff like that.
That was one I really liked. All right.
And just keep in mind, we do have the artist spotlight, so you can always check out that tab just so you know you can nominate someone. So it is a new thing that we only do on Monday. So feel free to nominate someone and we'll review them. And thanks for joining us. If you're just joining us now, here with Jess Telmanik doing some work in Fresco.
Adobe Fresco.
Yeah, on the iPad. Looks like we have a palette, and then somebody's making tortillas is the other icon. Just kidding.
I was just about to draw scissors, and I'm like, I don't even wait. Hold on, where's my art supplies again?
That's what. So I think like use references. I always think like you guys use references like. Rarely do people like draw things from scratch. You should use references.
Actually,
you study from real life, essentially, is what you're doing.
For everyone that says they could never draw, they could never do anything, here's a way you make it so it does look like it. And this is one of those, plus sides of drawing on an iPad. Oh, look. We're just going to do this really quick. And yes, technically we're tracing. But you know what? I think people...
You got to use that reference.
Yeah. And we're not even making it perfect either.
At the end of the day, is the client happy? Are you happy? Now, if you're just copying somebody else's logo, that's a whole other story.
That's a no-no.
We never scissors. Give me a break.
I mean,
it's fine.
They're all right. We get our idea for it. Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you. So you know what? I'm just gonna I think we're gonna move this over, and we're just gonna.
Ooh, Cheryl, what? Reading is a good, definitely spark some creativity because there's some creative writing out there.
Shout out to all my book nerds.
Like, whoa, Cheryl, are you really reading over 60 books a month?
I'm impressed. I think
I would be impressed.
I'm at 40 for the year.
That's
and I
good.
track it through Goodreads. Yeah, I try and hit 52 books every year. And I'm at 40 right now.
Good job.
It's you can tune things out and just kind of zone. I'm actually a huge sci-fi nerd, so a lot of my books are sci-fi related.
That's cool. I love sci-fi.
Right. All right, so I'm gonna bring these back in here just so we kind of have everything together. I have a mystery white line that showed up from something. I'll figure out where that is later. And put my scissors up here. I'm moving the layers around on the right, and you can literally just press down on the layer and shift the order, which makes it super easy to reorder them. Got my creative back, which I need to just, I like these so they're right in the middle. And now I'm really excited about this. I was watching a live stream last week, and I'm so sorry if I mess up her last name, but it's Victoria Pavlov.
Yeah.
Something like, yeah. And she's a beautiful illustrator, and it was a live stream with her and Terry White. Mm-hmm. And she's talking, and she goes, she's creating something, and she mentions how there's just been an update, and that Fresco now has mixer brushes. It's the littlest things, I swear. Sometimes that can bring you joy.
Yeah, that's an awesome thing. Go ahead, and you gonna use one of them?
Yeah, and that's actually, I'm gonna use the mixer pixel brushes to do all the illustrations, just because I like that ability to blend colors. Before I like fully dive in, I just got to do a little like swatch over here on the side. And so we got orange. I'm gonna blend some red into it, and it's just, I love it. And you can keep layering colors on, so you get that blended mode. I don't know. I was very happy, Victoria. If you ever see this, just want you to know, thank you for bringing this to my attention a couple days before my live stream.
No, you're good. That was either an update in June or July. I want to say like late June is when we might have added that.
Right over my head.
Follow Kyle Webster, because he's like on top of all that stuff, and he'll keep you in the know.
I love him. I actually bought most of his brushes back before he joined Adobe. I think I love his art style. Okay, so focus. Need to start creating some actual illustrations in here, since that is what we are doing today. So I'm gonna start with my paint palette. We're gonna go traditional. So where I'm at here, and actually I'm gonna pull out my color palette because I'm gonna be using it a bit more now. For those that are new to Fresco, it's great. They keep all your previously used swatches right there. So if you're working on something, you don't have to go back and use the eyedropper to find it. You just kind of can jump over there and grab it. Mm-hmm. So I got my paint palette. This is one of those times where I kind of wish I had an iPad about 5 feet wide. Uh-huh. So
Melanie likes the mixer brushes. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's not really a smudge tool just yet. And that's on my list of things that I would like. I'd like to just be able to draw with like charcoal and smudge it and blend things together or something.
See, now that you mention that, we kind of can get now. As I say, I switched to the translucent one, and it just kind of filled everything in for me. We'll go back.
So Nancy, to answer your question, the mixer brushes we think are great. There's going to be some built-in ones, but Kyle Webster is who you need to search on. Kyle T. Webster.
Kyle T. Webster.
The maker of all the brushes, pretty much.
When I first found his brushes probably about 6 years ago, I was like, how does he do this? This is magic.
Right?
All right. I was like going, why isn't it erasing? I somehow ended up with an extra layer. Let's get rid of you. All right. And we're not gonna do the traditional colors. We're gonna do some, and do some bright pink, do some yellow. We're actually gonna do the colors that this illustration background is. That works nicely.
Hello, Anthony from Florida. Good to have you here. If you are just joining us, feel free to say hello. I want to welcome you here today with Jess, who's doing some work in Fresco.
And you know what? Sometimes you do something and you're like, no, that's what just happened. So we're gonna switch this up. We're gonna get rid of that, and then just. That did not make my heart happy.
You know, it would be kind of fun with the palette, the colors on the palette. You could maybe use the oil brushes, maybe for the splotch of color. Might be like the oil, because that gives a. And by the way, I'm actually doing this along with you. By the way, so don't think that I'm just like not paying attention, because I'm actually just I can't help it. You can't have all the fun.
Yes, no. I get to draw with Paul. See, the day to get better. All right, I didn't like my paint palette, so I kind of want to come back. And you know what? Hey, if anybody's drawing along with us, even if you're drawing along with paper or, whatever medium, you can find me on Behance. I would love to see what you make. Like, I get so much inspiration from going on Behance and just checking out. That's where I go for motivation. When I have one of those days where I'm just like creatively blah, I will go on there and start just like taking a look at what other people are doing. And I always I find the coolest work on there. All right, so what I just did is I didn't like my palette, so I wanted to make another palette. And I actually went and just used the vector brush again, because I wanted a really clear line. But I want to do a little bit of shading on this, so I'm first going to turn this into, actually no, I don't even have to turn it into fixed brush. I'm going to put another layer on top of it and make a mask, which is super simple. It's on the left-hand side. It's the little square with the arrow. If you tap on it, anything you paint on top of it is going to stick within that below layers boundaries, which is honestly how I end up doing a lot of my shading. And all the different programs just allows you to kind of not focus on the edges as much.
Yeah, into it. And I like that because it's a separate layer that you can control. There's also a lock transparency. You could also lock transparency, so but that's when you're painting on the same layer and you want to not color outside the lines. It will keep them transparent, and then you add shading that way. But this way you have more control because it's a separate layer.
Yeah, like I'm using a brush size 832 right now. I'm pretty sure it would take up half the canvas, but it allows me to kind of control this a little bit more. And I don't know, I like a little bit of texture in my artwork.
I love that texture. That's
like
awesome.
This is something, if we were not doing this here, I probably would work on this for like the next 5 hours. And I would still be like, oh, we got to do this and this. All right, and I did love your idea of using the oil paint for
and
that.
It may or may not work.
Oh no, we're gonna make it work.
I think on a separate layer, maybe, I don't know.
Well, if anything, we just get to show everybody how cool the oil paints look.
I love that texture brush on the palette. Right. It's awesome.
That is the pastel mixer. All right, so I'm gonna go into my live brushes here, and I like the oil paint round just because, way too big. Anybody that's watching, like, it does look like oil paint. I think this kind of thing is magic, because you can get that texture that you'd have to do a lot of shading and layers to kind of get that sort of creativity, like that depth and dimension to it. But nope, Adobe did it for us. All right, I feel much better about this paint palette. Much better. Although we are going to group all these because I want to move it, because now it's kind of overlapping my eye and I don't like that. So, all right, I actually have an illustration on here. So we did our paint palette. Thank you. We'll get that out of the way. And I need to go back to some of my other inspiration. I like the hairdressing idea. I'm one of those people that just kind of lets it go. But there's so much detail that goes into cutting and coloring someone's hair. My hairdresser down in Florida would be very proud of me for not calling it dyeing my hair. You don't dye your hair, you color your hair.
Ah, I didn't know that.
It took me a couple years. I'd be like, yeah, she's going to dye and cut. She's like, no, Jess.
She's an artist.
She really is. This hair hasn't been touched since, before our year really kicked into gear. So it's been a long time. All right. So, I mentioned I was going to do some leaves. So I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to do a couple just simple little leaves because I do want to just shout out to the people that can keep plants alive. I do have 2 orchids I haven't killed yet, so I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
Are you there? There. That's where that little white line was coming from. All right. Draw some leaves.
There we go.
And I'm half trying to resist the urge to do the whoosh.
Oh, duh.
The sound effects. Yeah.
By all means, do sound effects.
Happy little leaves.
What was that? What if that was an option that you can turn on? I wonder. Because I think what also is really fun is the brushes that are animated. Like they animate on.
Yes.
Like, they don't need to animate on, but they do. And it's just kind of fun.
It is. So. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I had a wonderful teacher in college named Flavia. She could draw like Da Vinci. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And she used to always do the whoosh, and she, encouraged us to make those noises while we drew. And I always think of that when I'm sitting there and I'm making something. I'm like, la 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 la. Like, I have that moment. I'm like, oh, I hope she's doing well. Like, great creative soul. So I did the vector brush again. I think this is kind of the route I'm going to stick with for the rest of today, because that way I can go back in and I can do that pastel mixer over it, and I could give it a little bit of shading.
What you just did is smart, because you have a vector layer and then you have a clipping mask above it.
Yes.
So you can do your shading, which I mentioned lock transparency. That won't work if you can't mix a vector and a raster layer.
Correct.
So. Shannon kills succulents.
I feel you.
We've all been there. It's okay.
The lucky bamboo was such like a low point. I was like, everybody's like, how do you not keep lucky bamboo alive? And I'm like, it's just not a superpower I got in this life.
It's all good.
The rest of my family, though, they all like gardens, plants, greenhouses.
I mean, I guess just try to get something that's like pretty hardy. I guess you gotta figure out what that is. But yeah, succulents should be pretty hardy. Like, I don't know.
No, I've killed cacti. So many cacti have been lost. Julia, we mentioned earlier, I killed a cacti she gave me. It was sad. So.
Cody Bear says succulents are actually kind of difficult to take care of. I didn't know that.
Cody Bear, I really appreciate you.
I've killed succulents before, and then I just replace them with fake succulents. That's what I've done. So way, like, I already have the pot.
You're like, wow, that has grown so much.
Yeah.
You're like, uh-huh.
Ooh, Cody Bear's, her husband and her plan on having a farm in the future. That sounds awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's, it's one of those life goals. Because I love fruits and vegetables, and there's something really cool about being able to, go outside and pick your dinner.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got some leaves over there. We're just gonna keep drawing a bunch of different items. I think I'll do my record next. Shout out to all my college people back in the day. We had a lot of hip hop. That was a former lifetime.
You're right.
One thing I will say, Adobe, can you... Oh, wait, I take it back. I was going to ask for something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to ask for it because it's right here. Adobe also has basic shapes. I gave up trying to master how to draw a perfect circle years ago, but you can do it on Adobe. And we're going, let's do a vector. So I just made a perfect circle in 2 seconds. Thank you, Adobe, for allowing people like me to draw a perfect circle. And I'm going to do another one of these guys and just kind of go in here and put some detail for the grooves on the vinyl. Actually, let's make this brush a little bit bigger. Now there's a couple of different ways I could do it. If I wanted to be really precise, this would be a great time to grab the circle and just do a bunch of circles over and over. So I have, perfect grooves in my record, but I don't want today to be about perfectionism. I want it to, everyone is creative.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, you're using you have that vector circle and then a layer mask above it, which is awesome.
Yep. And I'm using these delightful pastel mixer brush. I'm just going to put some details. Everybody, if you want to check this out, I will probably end up working on this a bit more.
Yeah.
Afterwards, because I like how it's going to turn out, but
it's hard when you're doing it live, though, huh?
Oh, this is my first time ever live streaming.
Ah,
so
no, you're doing great. It's a little nerve-wracking. You're like, is people watching this? What do I do?
I'm like,
cool.
I've barely looked at the chat, so if anybody's asking me something directly and I miss it, I do apologize. It's the whole creating thing and going, oh, come on, you gotta finish something on here. Don't let it be a blank canvas. I'm just gonna do.
Oh, Julia Telmanik says you can add a little bit of shading under each color blob to add depth. Open to all these suggestions.
I know what you're doing. Yeah, I like that. I agree. We should actually do that right now because I think I know what she's talking about. So let's go back over to here. I like having some depth to my artwork, so I have a tendency to do a little bit of shading behind things to try and make them pop, which I do want to do, but I don't think we're going to use that brush. We need a different brush. Let's try the flat brush mixer. Ooh, no.
So hopefully, no, I'm just messing around. I will say what I was actually taking a look at. First of all, I love those. I love what you're doing there with the leaves.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So yeah, Jess showed the basic shapes that you can obviously add, yes. But also you have your CC libraries in there as well. So you can have a library of your own shapes, whether it's a leaf or whatever else that you can bring in and use as a as part of your design. That's all.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
I know. I love the incorporation of the Creative Cloud libraries. I've been fully utilizing them since they were released. I don't even know how many years ago. I use it for my passion projects. I use it for work for clients, because it just makes it so easy to be like, all right, what font do they use? Oh, that's right, this one. Oh, what colors are part of their branding? Oh, they're right there. Stick all the logos, all the photos, and then you can go and open that Creative Cloud library in the app. You can open it up in Photoshop on the iPad, which is what we're going to play in tomorrow. You can open up in Fresco. There's some other ones you're going to be able to open it up in, and it's just like it's really cool.
Yeah, and you can add to CC libraries a number of ways. Usually people use the desktop.
Yeah.
Open up, go to Window, Libraries, and then drag an item into it. Or you can use something like Capture. Capture will.
I've used Capture a lot over the years. I think it's takes a photo, can do a line image. It's I've used it a lot over the years randomly.
Yeah.
And the color, what else do they have in there? They have there's a pattern maker within there. You can take a picture from real life or from an actual image, and it will give you all the colors that are in there, and you can send that color palette to your creative library, cloud library.
We recently added gradients, so you can capture like a gradient as well in a room.
That is exciting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go play with that later. All right, so let's see I'm trying to decide how I should incorporate. I would just like to say, Julia said that I never stood a chance, and I should buy plastic plants like Paul. Thank you, Julia.
Well, actually, the latest thing I got is a hydroponic plant.
Ooh, okay.
So it basically waters itself, and you fill it up every 3 days. But again, it's also about like which plants you pick.
Yeah.
Because you could do like basil or mint. Like I have mint. Mint's super hardy.
Ooh.
It's gonna last. But other things like thyme and other herbs.
All
I'm doing little
right.
herbs. I only have room for little herbs and rosemary.
Hey, it sounds like you have a good start. I mean,
yeah,
especially if you're cooking, like.
Yeah, it's more for cocktails, but yes. It's all for making drinks. It's another creative outlet.
One of my previous lives was bartending, so you know what? In honor of that, that's what I'm drawing next. We're gonna do
Do it.
beverage with some leaves on it. It could be a virgin drink, by the way.
Yeah.
It does not have to be alcoholic to be all fancy.
Yeah. But also, we're all adults.
Yes. Well, just in case any younger ones are out there.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Not for you today.
Nope.
But you can make some fancy drinks with just like juices and whatnot. All right.
Oh, yeah.
That's totally a glass. All right. And we'll do... It's a glass. If anybody doubts it, it's a glass. We'll just do a straw to make sure. And
There we go.
I feel like it needs a little.
Oh, yes. And I think you might do this next, but Marty wants to know how you can use the mask on a layer that you're drawing on. How to use the mask. So basically, I think a clipping mask, like you've been adding all your shading and all that stuff. Just call it out when you get there.
Hi, Marty. Yeah. So right now I'm on the current layer that I just drew, my very special glass. Kind of looks like it should be in a cartoon. And I'm going to go to the right and hit the plus sign and create a new layer. And on this new layer, if you look right below the plus sign, there is this little arrow in a box. I'm going to create that. When you do that, you get You can see that there's an arrow next to the box, and this is going to put everything you put on that layer in the shape below it. So grab another color now that I have that set up. Grab a pixel brush. And I love it because you don't have to color in the lines, even if you want it to look like you're coloring in the lines.
Yeah, super easy. Yeah, and Hannah, you could do this if this is a layer, like a group of layers. You can also add a clipping mask to a group of layers.
Yes.
Just FYI, just like you can in Photoshop.
Oh, you guys, I need like 10 more hours to work on this.
No, you're doing great. Just a quick time check. We've been going for about an hour. In about another 30 or 40 minutes, we'll do the artist spotlight. And honestly, we have a full day of fun stuff. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
I like the ice cubes.
Thank you. Easy. I'm one of those that I do like a lot of detail and shading, so I'm mentally trying to be like, no, now is not the time.
Yeah. Because you want it to immediately like look good, but it's like, it's all a process.
Yes, creating's a process, and you learn. Like, you get better the more times you do something, and the more times you give yourself freedom to make mistakes or do something wrong, and that's how you grow.
Marty, you can use your selection tool to make a circle selection and then paint inside of that selection. Just FYI, just answering the question there. Because I've done that before too. Like, I went through a whole Fresco phase, but which is, I can easily get back into. But like, I would use the lasso tool to draw because I'd like want to create an outline of something. And then I just paint inside of it. It does give you the crisp line on the edge, so I don't know if you always want that. But I would end up, like, I just found, like, the lasso tool is the most awkward thing to use on the desktop, but it's, like, the easiest thing to use on an iPad.
I completely agree.
Photoshop on an iPad or Fresco or wherever.
I've found with a lot of my photo editing that I do for clients, I tend to now immediately go to Photoshop on the iPad if it's something where, I need to clean up a photo, just because it's easier to use a pencil.
Yeah.
At least for me. The lasso tool, I would have never thought about drawing that way. I'm going to have to play around with that. Not today.
Yeah, you already got plenty going on.
I've got enough going on here. All right, my cocktail could be better, but it's cool. I think I need to put a leaf on this one too, which actually, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna duplicate my other leaves. Make a duplicate layer. I'm gonna also duplicate that little shading I did on top of it. And we're gonna move over. I'm actually going to merge this one because I just want to keep one or two of them. So by hitting the ellipses, the three dots, I can go over and I can merge down. And now it took all the leaves I made, and that shading is just in the original vector shape image. So we're going to take this over here. We're going to recycle part of this doodle, is basically. Mm-hmm. And
yeah. That mojito.
Right. I think we're going to get rid of the third one, though. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to take my lasso tool, and I'm going to erase. Just get that out of there. So I just have two now. I'll just deselect. And we're just going to rotate them. So I'm going that way. So there's our fancy beverage. All right. Okay, so gardening, cooking. Let's do something for cooking. I'm just, I think we'll do some cookies, chocolate chip cookies.
Love it.
Kind of keep it, I can use that same color tone for my paint palette then.
Yeah, Ariel, that's a good question. Whether outlines will be available in the shape tools eventually. I don't know. That's the short of it. Again, you can make your own, but yeah. Sounds like you want to do some coloring book type stuff. That sounds like.
Be fun. Actually, on that note, I think the vector brush in Fresco is perfect for when you just want to do something like a coloring book page.
Yeah.
You can have that clean, crisp line.
Yeah.
It's easy to send, to Illustrator or InDesign, like whatever next step in your process is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's my cookie. And where am I? So many layers. Oops. See, I don't want to put you on there. I put it on my cup. I want you to go in a new layer. So we need to selection.
Can I show something for fun?
Of course.
Do you care? I mean,
no.
I don't want to take away from what you're doing, but just kind of break it up a little bit.
Go for it.
And because I think there's questions about the shapes.
Okay, yeah.
Totally into.
I learn every time I watch Adobe Live, so I will probably learn with you guys, and I am 100% for that.
Yeah, no, this will be pretty straightforward anyways, because here's the basic shapes that we're working on, right? We can see them there.
Okay.
And then you can use something like Capture, like you mentioned, to capture shapes. So that's what I've done. Here's a library of shapes. So here's like a butterfly that I've captured, right? Pretty easy.
I like that.
But then let's just go ahead and fill it with white and then lock the transparency and then pick a watercolor color or whatever. You get the idea. But it's going to look like I start painting, within the lines, if you will, as I
like that
on there. All right. So there you have it. That's all I got for you.
Ooh. See, I told you, I always learn something.
Brush. Anyway, okay. Let's bring it to life. Your turn. I'm switching back to you.
Hi again. But that butterfly's pretty. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so it's just basically it's kind of like you make a stamp out of it. All I did is like capture with Adobe Capture or something. So, yeah.
Learning all types of things today. I love it.
All types of things.
A successful day is when I've learned at least like 10 new things. They could be very small and random.
Yeah, I typically learn what not to do in most days. I'm really good at learning what not to do.
Listen, if there were medals and failures in different ways, I would have a couple. But that's how I figure out how to get to the next place. So it's not really like a failure, but life happens. Actually, fun fact. So this morning, got up, was having my tea, trying to stay calm and, not panic. And they had a Adobe live stream from the UK, and they were doing it was like a game show. So they had kind of a Pictionary thing going on for a bit, and then they had
that was fun.
Yeah, it was actually a great start to the day. Like, it was very entertaining. And then they also had some trivia stuff. And I got this one wrong, but not by much. One of the questions was, Vincent van Gogh, who is one of my favorite artists in the top 5. He only ever actually sold one painting in his life. Yet so many people know who he is today.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I knew it was, I actually said 0. I was pretty sure I knew he was one of them that just, it didn't happen. Yet he's somebody that we know to be like such a great artist. And it's all about perspective in life, I feel. And trying new things and giving it the best you can. My cookie. There we go.
Yes. So by the way, these streams are always available to rewatch. You could just capture the link. I encourage everybody to just bookmark this session and rewatch it later if you've missed anything. Or just scrub through it and you can watch the illustration get put together really fast.
Ooh, yeah.
That's fun.
I love time lapses.
I do too. That's what I was saying. I'm like, we need to build that into our tools, because there's an app called Fractal Design Painter on the desktop, and it would record your session kind of like behind the scenes, and then you'd be able to play it back and see your illustration come to life. Because a lot of times it's like, you kind of like, hey, I should have recorded that. That would have been cool. But it's always after the fact.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that would have been a great progression to have.
Yeah. But that's old school. If anybody remembers Fractal Design Painter, I would be impressed.
Yeah, I think I probably would have been in that time frame, but that level.
It was Corel Painter. Well, it started out as Fractal Design Painter and then became Corel Painter.
Well, then on that note, like Corel, I think Corel was technically the first thing Corel Paint was the first time I ever used like a digital drawing kind of, and then it would have been Photoshop.
Yeah.
But we're going a bit back. All right, there's my chocolate chip cookie.
So Nancy says Rembrandt wasn't successful in his lifetime. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, really? I mean, I feel like there's a lot.
Didn't he do a lot of commissions though? Like he did portraits of famous people and stuff, didn't he? Or no? I don't know.
I don't know. See, this is I'm one of those people that like Google everything if I don't know it, I'm like, oh, let's look this up. I'm not going to stop and do that right now.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But I will be doing that later now. All right, I got a cookie to represent baking.
I love how it's loaded with chocolate chips. I mean,
oh yeah. And I'm not even a huge sweet person. To be honest, there's going to be a lot of people shocked that I didn't draw a strip of bacon in this. But I'd rather have salty. I'm not a sweet person. But I mean, if you're going to have a chocolate chip cookie, might as well make sure there's some chocolate chips in it.
Load it up.
All right. So what else did I want to do? I think I still need to like incorporate the hair. But also, I need more shading here. I forgot a letter. There you are. What's happening? Ooh, I have a magical layer right there. That's what's happening. I see. Oftentimes in creating, I'll be like, why isn't that working? What is that? And it's because I have some magical mystery layer there. So let's come back here. All right. And I just want to keep drawing all these little things until
this is fun to watch.
Oh, thank you. All right. Now I do see, I like how stark my lettering is, but I feel like now it's at that point with all the background. I kind of need to put some more, need to put a little texture on that too. And I think that maybe some blue, just something light. So kind of contrast.
Are you doing that in the text?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the mask over it, and do it on the text. All right. Oh, because I'm like, why is it telling me the layer is empty? Because I have the erase tool selected. So let's try that again. All right. I don't like you. Let's undo. Not too many times. Just want like a little bit of texture. Like it's so stark compared to everything else. If I was going all out, I would probably fully shade the lettering and do a bunch of colors on it. I love, a lot of my graphic design is typically very clean. I like it to be the point, but when it comes to art, like give me all the color. I want colors and I want it to be bright. And I want it to be something that like you look at and you might not know what's going on, but it makes you feel happy.
Yeah, into it. I just love this texture. What brush is that again?
So this is, if you go to your pixel brushes and then your mixer brushes, which just for anybody that doesn't know, You can also, by using your Creative Cloud library, you can put all your brushes in here. We were talking about Kyle Webster before. I have brushes from like the mermaid thing they did a couple years ago for his. I think this all tools and presets and brushes are almost all of his brushes. But yeah, so if you go in the mixer brushes, there's quite a few in here. I played with them the other day, and I just like the pastel mixer. Like right now, I don't know, that's what I'm kind of stuck on. So.
How did you get those brushes in there?
So for the mixer brushes, that's already included, but for all of my other, if we were talking about Creative Cloud libraries earlier, and you can save colors and fonts and images and assets and shapes, you can also save brushes to your libraries. I can try, I want to open a smaller one.
Looks like it's at the very bottom. I'll just kind of move that.
Yes, so you can, to add a new library, you can get more brushes. And it will, take you to a website.
There we go. Get more brushes. Cool. Thank you for showing that. That's awesome.
Course.
I just wanted to make sure everybody could see that. So.
Yeah. I know you could put them. I love it.
Awesome.
There's so much custom. And also on that note, because obviously there aren't a lot of brushes, Fresco is set up so you have the panel, if you're looking at the left, where it's all the brushes, or you can click on favorites. And once again, the Kyle T. Webster will you see there's a few of his in my favorite brushes, and these are ones that I'd saved in my library and then put them in my favorites. Yeah, I like
Very
the texture.
Cool. Yeah, so, it's fun.
All right, let's see where we're
into it. And thank you everybody in chat is being very helpful and all the things.
Thank you all for being here.
Rembrandt. We're learning about libraries.
I love it.
In 20 minutes, we'll do the artist spotlight.
I can't wait to look at her work. Awesome.
Fun.
All right. Ooh. See, this is definitely the different experience for me, like creating live, because I want to be like, ooh, I could try that. Ooh, or I could do that. And I'm like, no, focus. Stay on track. Stay on the plan. Yeah, I had to throw some blue in here. Blue's my favorite color.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Jeff, if you don't want or have Apple devices, there's Fresco for Windows 10 devices as well. So if you want to go that route, you can. So yeah. All right, Kevin Lee, what's up?
Hi. All right. Oh yeah, see, I just want to sit here and draw for the rest of the day. And just play with these till I start getting some more colors mixing going on. Yeah. We're gonna have to make that more colorful. Need more color in my life. So I'm still using that pixel brush, and I'm just going over and I'm making it a thicker color to kind of like blend it. I don't know if anybody else is like this, but especially when I'm working on illustrations, there's so many different reiterations of things when I create. Like what I usually start off with and what I end up with, they could be light years apart. Some people are like, oh, that's so cool. Where'd you get that from? I'm like, it just kind of happened.
Well, and I like basically trying things and then realizing it's not working. It's like you did learn what doesn't work, which is actually a pretty good lesson, I think.
Speaking of that, this hurts my eyes, so I'm totally going back.
Oh.
That was perfect timing.
It was fun to paint in.
Oh, it was.
It was kind of fun to paint in.
But yeah, I immediately looked at that and I'm like, ooh, nope.
Yeah, I guess it vibrates a little bit.
That's too much, yeah. And you know what? I've been trying to be more, I don't know. I'm sure there's some people that might be joining us today that are better than I at being aware of this, but it's something I've been actively trying to keep aware. Colorblind. I personally am not colorblind, so I look at colors and I see all this. I try and be more aware that certain colors don't work as well when I'm designing or drawing. And actually, Adobe Color has a really, really good setup that can show you how colors look for people with any form of color blindness.
Yeah, into it. What's that like?
Right.
I know a lot of like up to 8 or 10% or something of men are colorblind. So, or have a color like deficiency in recognizing some colors.
I know a couple of really amazing artists actually that are colorblind. And you would never ever guess it by looking at their artwork. All right, I need to come back over here. You know, we're gonna use this charcoal because that'll give me, I don't want that blue to blend, but I need some more white in here.
Oh, Michelle Moore, Illustrator does that as well. Shows you color blinded. Shows you when a color's gonna have an issue with somebody who's colorblind.
I did not know that. Michelle, you're gonna have to teach me that. Thank you. All right. Sometimes you're making
Austin Drake.
What?
Welcome, Austin Drake. Finally got here. Good to have you here, Austin.
You were meant to be here, exactly when you're supposed to be. No sooner, no later. All right. I'm going to just keep playing with those. So we'll just step away from that for a minute. I'm one of those people that when I create, I'll be like, oh, I'm working on this letter. Okay, now we're going to go over here. Okay, now we're going to do this. Which makes some pieces of artwork I make look really, really awkward for a long time. All right. Cool. I also have this problem where, okay, I'm like, what are you? Here are my chocolate chips and an extra light. All right. So what happened to my scissors? I need the scissors. We have to get the shout out to the stylist.
So theory mentions I always have some issues to make a subject's colors pop. Do you ever run into that?
Yes. And there's a few ways I feel. I think shading can help a lot depending on what colors you're using. And that's why I like the texture. There's some other brushes that you can get in here and use, and it's going to get more blending. But I find if I'm able to use shading and whenever I'm drawing, I go kind of with the brightest whites and black. Like I have that range where I'll use the white as a highlight, the dark for the shadows, and I try and use that middle color as my solid base. But it also really depends. I feel like it depends on what you're working on, where you're working on that at. There's so many, I love art. There's so many ways to do everything.
Yeah, and I would say, like, if you're looking at something, trying to make something pop, think about maybe doing something maybe a little bit more unexpected. Like, if you're doing water and it's blue, that's almost kind of boring.
Yes.
Like, how can you surprise people and just make it more interesting based on the color? You know.
So, I don't know if anybody's ever watched a sunset over the water. It's like one of my favorite things ever. That water isn't all blue. It's every color.
Oh yeah, Sharon, you mentioned something good. Where do I find the shapes section in Photoshop? You're talking about Photoshop here. You can go under Window, down to Shapes, but you could put those shapes in a CC library of your own, and then that will end up in Fresco, because there's plenty of shapes in there, just so you know.
I feel like I lost my scissors, so we're gonna have to redo that. You up here. So for anybody that's joining now and didn't join us in the beginning, I downloaded some images from some stock vectors, actually. So if I was to open this up in Illustrator, they'd be ready to roll. Oops, let's hide you. And this was kind of my inspiration for some of my art supplies that we talked about. Hairdressers.
Sweet.
Being creative. So we're going to get back to the scissors. I can do this.
You got this.
I really am thinking about it. Like, I've been making art for a really long time. I don't think I've ever drawn a pair of scissors. So here we go.
You do your thing. If you need a second, I was just going to point out where the shapes are and some of that stuff real fast.
That would be awesome.
It can be kind of stressful when everybody's looking at your screen all
the time. I'm like, I'm trying to pay attention.
But because I think this actually is a great idea. So go to shapes in Photoshop. You obviously have all these amazing shapes that you could potentially use in Fresco. So if you do want to use a leaf, here's that leaf like so, right? Obviously it's white in this case. But what I would actually do with that is put it in a CC library. So right in here, I can drag that fern leaf into my library, right? And now I have this fern leaf available to me on my iPad in Fresco, right? So I could go ahead and use that like I did the butterfly earlier. But it's cool that there are all these wonderful shapes that you could use for your illustrations. So that's fun.
Love it. That's totally new.
Do you, Jess, are you realizing how hard also it is to like talk and draw at the same time?
It really is.
Like, I gotta explain this. I gotta show everybody. It has to be perfect out of the gate.
I think it's more the perfect. No. I really do. Like, if you were to talk to my friends, I get so excited when there's a new Adobe program or update. And like, I'm the first one to be like, oh, you want to check this out? Because I want to share it with people and it makes me happy. But the whole knowing people, more than like 2 people are watching me and trying to make something where I'm like, I really can draw, I promise. That's challenging.
You're good.
All right, so.
Yeah, Nancy mentioned adding contrast and using complementary colors to make colors pop. So yeah, contrast, complementary colors if you're going with more primary. I think people have more of a tendency to screw up colors like more than anything.
I mean, it's hard, I feel.
There's
so many.
You're using all these like bright, bold colors. if you had a lot of browns in there, like, I don't know, it's just like, it's a whole lot of color theory going on.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's some color pros right now that are going, oh my goodness.
No, this is totally fine, because it's like you have this exciting like yellow and red and orange in the background that gives it a pop. You have a little complementary color with the blue in there.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those where I want to be like, I am color, hear me roar. There's all this beautiful colors and bright happiness and
yeah. Nancy, I appreciate having you here because she has some good comments too. She never uses black for shading, but I'm a painter new to digital. So I do remember in art school they like never let us.
You never use black.
You couldn't buy black. You had to always mix it.
I will flat out tell, like, that's actually one of the biggest things people do say not to do. Never use black. And I actually will often do a dark gray, but I'm not the best at following all directions and things you should do.
You're totally fine. It's like you said in the beginning, like, create what you want. Don't get so uptight about things. But as you dive into it further, you can start to think about some of those other options.
And I mean, there are so many standards in the creative field, and we don't want to use papyrus, please. And there's just so many ways you're supposed to do things, but I wish more people would feel free to just try and play and that's how you come up with your own style. And if it makes you happy and you are enjoying your time creating, that is the most important thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Have fun.
Yeah.
They're into people love the scissors. Anthony says
Thank you.
You're doing a great job for your first live stream.
Thank you so much. I'm shaking considerably less than I was 2 hours ago. So we're doing much better.
That's funny.
All right. Kind of want a couple music notes, even though we have the record. I think I need some music notes.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is one that I would... Yeah, I see this in my head. You guys can't see what's going on there, which is probably good for you, but I see this in my head, and there's a lot that's going to be in this when I'm done.
What I think is nice about this is just to note that you haven't saved it, because it's automatically being saved in the background.
And you know what? From years of design, I had that moment. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't saved it. Wait, I haven't saved it. What if it crashes? But it does automatically save to the cloud.
Yeah. Which I think it makes it kind of hard, because if you're working on your iPad for a while and then you switch to your desktop and you're like, oh yeah, I do need to. It's a shift in thinking these days. Like, you do need to remember that when you are working in Photoshop and not in a cloud document, that you need to save the file.
You know, I don't remember what live stream it was, but there was one I was watching in the last week, and somebody made a comment about they were reading a book and they went to tap it like a screen. And I'm like, yeah, I've had those moments where you're so used to being on a digital based thing that when you switch to a different method, you have that not like, it's just that moment of like, you're focusing, you're not thinking about things, and you're like, wait a second, this is not an iPad. This is not a touch screen. This is real life.
That's funny. Julia, that's a great question. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt.
Go ahead.
I'm just reading chat, because Julia was like, yeah, if something is not looking right, maybe it doesn't have pop or whatever the case may be, like step away and then come back to it. Like that's like very sound advice.
100% agree with that, because I think you can end up getting a lot more frustrated even if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I tried this. Nah. I feel like there's a lot of problems and things in life where you just sometimes need to step back and get it from a different, take a look at it from a different perspective, or focus on something else, then go back and get it. Like, I got to be honest, guys, I don't like how my lettering is right now, but I haven't quite decided like what I'm going to do with it. But I'm not loving it at all. I love the message. Everyone is creative. It's all, if you can leave here today with anything, I just want you to remember that everyone is creative, and you just keep finding it. And there's always stuff like origami. I love, love, love folding origami.
Nice. I like the addition of the notes.
Yeah.
I like the reason I like the notes is they're kind of breaking the border. Everything's kind of around it. And with the notes, they kind of break the consistency of just like everything being around it.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, since we have 3 notes, we're going to drop these all into one layer, because this is how quickly you can end up with a billion layers. I'm going to do a little bit of white. Just a little bit. See, there's the sound effect. That's one. Just a little bit.
You know where the highlight would also look good is on the record. Like, if there was like how there's like a splash of light, like across or something, maybe, I don't know. You also
see, I have to play with that.
I don't know if it's like it's like.
I know what you're saying.
If that's the case, I honestly would like Google it. I'd be like, what is a record?
Right?
Do
that all the time.
A record.
Where I'm looking at, I'm like, because you think of objects and you think you know exactly what they look like, but then it doesn't quite match. That's what reference photos. Adobe Stock has fantastic reference photos. All right, we'll come back to you. I don't like that lettering. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. All right, so other creative things. Where are my little icon inspirations? We are gonna move you up here so I don't have to hide 5 million layers to look at everything. And we're gonna reveal that. Which this one's sorry if that's a little bit difficult for anybody to read or see. We are going to do bass guitar. I believe it's bass guitar. It's some kind of guitar. I don't really know this.
I don't know either.
I know many very talented, musically talented people. I have been horribly trying to learn how to play the ukulele for like 3 years now. I refuse to accept defeat. So I keep trying, but there will not be any live streams of that happening anytime soon. All right.
Yeah, Melanie, that's a good. Melanie mentions a chef's hat. That's fun.
Thank you. I like that. Make a little note.
And Nancy mentions like, and I think this gets more into composition, but it's like if you have objects that are kind of like, you know, amongst the text instead of everything being around. I still think that's still like a compositing thing, because right now I feel like you're adding all these elements and then you'll see where they all fall, because I'm sure it's, you know, probably get shuffled around.
And that's actually why I'm a huge fan of trying to keep the different items on different layers. So that way I don't even have to deal with going and making, you know, a mask, clipping it out or anything like that. I can just get my arrow and be like, all right, I want you here. Nope. Mm-hmm. And then you can push things forward, back. That's why I like a bit of the shading. I like to have some depth to what I create. All right, where are we? I'm trying to fix you
into it. So if you are just joining us with Jess Telmanik, you can actually find her info on the info tab. Artist Spotlight we'll get into here in a couple minutes. Probably in 5 minutes we'll do the Artist Spotlight.
Yes.
But thanks for hanging out with us. This is day 1. Good thing we have you for 2 days.
Yes.
You know what I really... Actually, that's kind of... Well, maybe not.
Ooh, what you thinking?
I mean, I don't know. It's just like seeing that overlay of like outlined elements is interesting. That's an interesting element of having outlined elements just in the background or something.
I get what you're saying. I like that light bulb.
Yeah. Ding.
Ding. I like that. No, that's what I love to create. There's just always so many things you could do. Even something like that where it kind of just starts cutting out a little bit, but not all the way. Ooh, you know what we're gonna do? We're not going to dive into that right now, but here is where we're going to duplicate this layer and just leave it right there for later. So I can come back and think that one over. Because yeah, I just had some good ideas for like patterns. All right. We're going to put, I don't know where you're going to go. Maybe over there. Yeah, it's that I don't want to like commit to a spot, but I feel like it has to be somewhere at least while I continue. Maybe like right there. All right, where are we? All right, down to the wire, guys.
Yeah, you've created a lot.
Good, because I feel like I'm like, I need more. So since we are at that point, I'm going to duplicate some of my layers, save them in case I want to go back later. But since we're on this time frame, I need to fill it up a bit more. Like, so, oops, did that backwards.
Like add more cookies and stuff?
I think I might add another cookie so it's laid on top of each other. Edge down. I want to be able to give you guys some semblance of a finished piece. So Where did you come from?
You are good.
Where did this? I keep getting this magical yellow box. Not sure how I'm doing it.
Yeah, that is weird.
But, you know, things happen. It's cool. Let's move you down. Oh, I can't. There we go. Okay. This is that part where it's like, it's hard to focus and create when you start getting into that zone. You're like, oh, that's right. This is what I'm doing. Okay, back here.
Yeah, I definitely like the notes. I like the different. Actually, that's what I'm liking so far is like creating a little bit of depth. Maybe it's based on the size of things or who knows what. Like I like how one of those notes is coming out at you, or like the cookies are layered one on top of the next. This element of depth is fun.
Cookie. Thank you. I don't even know where that other cookie is coming from. Apparently there's a third one back there. So we'll just leave you there and hide you for a minute. Let's think about it.
Jess, are you using your keyboard at all on your iPad?
No.
Okay, cool.
I honestly, this is not a good habit, but I barely use the hotkey.
Yeah.
Which would speed up my process, that's for sure. But no, I do not use the keyboard at all when I am using Photoshop or Fresco on an iPad. Now, oops. So I went to move my layer, but I forgot that I have this nice overlay mask on it. So I need to merge that down. Otherwise, I'm going to move my scissors, but not my shading. I'm going to think just turn it there for now.
Another way to maybe, you could maybe group it if you didn't want to merge, but it's still messy. I like how you
Thank you.
Just merged it.
Sorry about that as well. Had a call pop up. Not sure how since everything's silenced, but
you are good.
All right. And, you know, since we're kind of, I think I'm going to keep with this kind of tan. We're going to come in here, use the paint box tool for my guitar. That way I can just drop some shading on it.
We need to switch over to the artist spotlight.
Perfect. Too. Yay.
I could tell you're going to be working on this later. I could just tell. I don't know what we're going to get tomorrow, guys. I don't know how this is going to change, but something's going to happen.
Well, actually, so tomorrow we're doing something completely different.
Hey,
Photoshop. So that's why I was trying so hard to like get through this. Sorry, guys, It's learning process. So check out my Behance and you'll be able to see a finished one.
I love it. That's all good.
And I'm going to see what I can do while we do this artist spotlight. So
yeah. So you can see the Artist Spotlight tab off to the side, and we're going to highlight a specific person from the community. Feel free to nominate someone from the community yourself, but we're going to focus on the one and only Sarah Nelson. Sarah's an artist and illustrator. In fact, we'll paste her name in chat so you will see her, but we just want to take a second to honor her as an illustrator and take a look at some of her work.
Yes. I'm blown away by your work. If you're listening, Sarah, I
hope you're here.
I love it. You have such beautiful detail.
Yeah, let's start with this top one. I mean, look at this. I don't really know that she just uses markers, micro pen, paper. Oh.
She's using, that's why I saw that and I'm like, there's no undo button there. That's just amazing.
Mm-hmm. It looks so good. Oh, look, she even has these little bugs that are eating away at the flowers. So there's like that cut there.
Absolutely beautiful.
But this is gorgeous. Like this is like straight up. Yeah, I'm so envious.
Right? I can't do that. I don't know if I could sit still that long.
Oh.
But I don't know, with art, I'm perfectly happy not being like amazing at things, especially when I see what other people can do.
Yeah. Yay, Sarah's in chat. Yay,
Hi, Sarah.
Good to have you here, Sarah. We
Love your work. Absolutely love it.
I mean, look at all this detail in here, like for each one of these. Like, again, probably using, let's double check. Okay, so she did use some digital tools as well, Illustrator, Photoshop.
Okay.
But, you know, the amount of detail that goes into these, I want to know, I would love to see kind of, ooh, here we go. I mean, it's just amazing.
That's absolutely amazing. Like the
so
detail.
They used Adobe Draw, Illustrator, InDesign to work with biology students to talk about the native pollinators. But again, so cool, the amount of detail going into this work.
Yeah,
Pollinating flower bingo. So you can go out and like see if you get bingo with finding these different
that'd be fun.
flowers. Very into it.
I mean, even just the preciseness. I feel like that's better than a photograph for a lot of those.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's just so much more interesting to look at. I think just things with detail, you're just like, you kind of get lost in the illustration.
Because you start looking around and you're like, oh, that's there. Oh, that's there.
I love if this is her handwriting, she has great handwriting.
Oh, yes, she does.
It's like really fun. You know it's not a font. I mean, look at
no,
this,
that's not.
Thick and thin. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I just can't get enough of. I mean, especially so. Another thing about a lot of these projects, like you think there's one illustration behind this one, but it's a whole solo exhibition she did in South Dakota.
Absolutely beautiful. I think they picked a good choice for today. Like,
yeah,
that's. That detail.
Yeah, it's just a lot of hard work. You know, there's like no substitute for hard work.
Nope.
And just putting in the time.
And that's the biggest thing. Time. It's so cool.
Yeah, I would like to read a little bit more about this when I have more time. But symbiotic relationships found in nature, and then the relationships, she kind of goes over all of them. So a lot of
a
lot of thought went into, you know, a lot of this. You know,
Sarah, keep doing it.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
we might be here a while.
Right. I think we've established what I'm doing the rest of my day. I'm gonna keep doing this, and then I'm gonna look at her portfolio.
This right here, so Sarah, like this starts to look like Fresco. So I don't know if she has the ability to get a hold of Fresco, whatever. But
you
this
need
is like
Fresco,
the oil paints, you know.
Yeah, I feel like if you're not doing a ton of digital drawing, you need to check it out because you'd be amazing.
Yeah. Totally into it. So Melanie does ask if they're digital or hand drawn. I think, yeah. So I think Sarah, a lot of your stuff is mostly hand drawn, which is awesome. Look at all this work.
That's absolutely beautiful.
I mean, doing the page layout, that's probably like InDesign, but wow, fun. Lazy.
Right?
Jess, I feel lazy right now.
Sarah, maybe you should step in for me tomorrow.
No.
Like, oh my goodness, the details are beautiful. Like, I know I'm looking at this now and I'm like, oh, I'm really lacking details and such.
Well, we also only gave you like an hour. We did not give you much time at all.
Challenge still accepted.
And you're like, we're like, entertain us. Start drawing now and entertain us.
Talk at the same time.
Say something witty all the time. And
always smile.
Skills.
Good faces.
Love it.
Oh no, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah. I'm so glad they chose her today, so I could find her stuff.
Yeah, I like how she adds this text in her. Like she has a sort of a cursive, but I don't know, just this like white around the edges, and the use of this font is.
I love it.
Pretty smart. So yeah, fun stuff. Sarah, you're awesome. We haven't been doing this that much, so I'm glad we featured you. We haven't been doing the artist spotlight that much, and we only do it on Mondays. So I'm glad she was picked.
I think they should do it more. That's my 2 cents.
What's that?
I think they should do it more, but that's my 2 cents. Like, I love.
We should. I mean, we should.
I love pumping up, like, and celebrating other artists, because we all have such unique styles and different ways of doing things.
And I think that's one thing about hers is she does have, I think this illustration is a little bit different than the others, but overall her portfolio is very consistent. And you know what you're getting if you're going to hire her as an illustrator.
Yes.
Right? You're going to get this highly detailed work. So that's her strength. And she, doesn't overload her portfolio with things. Each one has like a lot of depth, I feel. Like there's a large amount of,
yeah, when you click on it, you're not expecting them to see that many works of art in one project.
Yeah, exactly. And also she has her website that you could check out directly connected from Behance.
Yay!
And you can see kind of more of her work.
Absolutely beautiful.
She's had solo exhibitions, been in the press, residencies, awards. We get it. You're good. We get it. Right? Just stop.
Paul, remember
Why
that?
Why did I have to click on this? I'm so depressed now.
Remember that imposter syndrome I first said to you in the beginning? It's back.
Just stop. I know. Thanks a lot, Sarah. Why do you gotta be so good?
Sarah, keep creating, please. I look forward to following your work. I actually already followed you. I look forward to seeing what you make.
Yeah, into it. So yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. That's just our artist spotlight. She did a fantastic job. Feel free to follow her work. And if she's on social media and other places. And I honestly think she's a huge candidate for something like Fresco. And some of the other tools will be fun for her to try.
Whoever's listening, get that girl. Yeah. Get that lovely human on sharing her artwork. Because I would definitely watch her create. Cool. I feel like I would learn a lot.
Yeah, and I would love to know, like, any behind the scenes when you post these projects, or just the more information, the better, obviously.
Yes.
Because I want to know, like, what photo references she used, and just like the whole creation process is fun to see.
I'm picturing you out there, like, in nature, sitting and drawing these, and if that's the case, I want to come hang out with you and do that.
I imagine her just running around the yard, chasing down a bee, trying to sketch it. She's like, come here. Where's it? Where's it going? It's over here.
You're not supposed to move yet.
Stop moving.
One more leg.
So, anyways, that was fun.
Oh, that would be
awesome, Sarah.
Yes, thank you for sharing your talent with us.
Yeah, into it. And thank you, Cody, for posting the link. And all the good stuff, Sarah. Hopefully you feel loved, because we appreciate you and all artists out there that, you spent your time toiling away in some dark corner in your house, and maybe sometimes you'll publish things that you're self-conscious about, and we want you to know that you're awesome.
Oh yeah, you are amazing. Do not ever doubt your skill. You've got it.
Oh wait, Sarah does. So Babington Giles uses Fresco? I don't know. Maybe she does. Either way. This is another thing, because obviously we're live streaming, but Fresco has the ability to live stream directly from within it. So if you do want to show that, you can.
All right.
And just a time check, we have about 5 minutes.
Eek. I was going to say, this is by no means finished, but I feel like I at least pulled it together a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you did.
While we were doing that.
I love how you filled out the bottom. I like the I like the black.
I think it needs to be the black with all everything going on. Otherwise, it's just too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So
yeah, it definitely makes that text pop more, and it's still bright and cheery and everything. The font's light enough. The text is.
So yeah, there's honestly a couple more hours of work I would probably put into this on my own free time. But you know what? I can deal with where we're going to step away from. I'm okay with this.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Here's also another fun idea. So just like you
Ooh.
could so everybody, you could live stream. Even if you don't like live stream, like maybe nobody's following you, it doesn't matter. You live stream. Once you have that video out on Behance, you could download the video and do a time lapse and like publish that to social media. So just use the live
Oh,
stream as just a way to record your process, and then you repurpose that video to show kind of the behind the scenes, for instance.
okay.
Is a good
That is a good idea.
I'll just switch back over really fast because yours is looking awesome. But right in here, you could
Okay.
anything that you've live streamed, you can go ahead and download that, and then I would just time compress it in whatever app you want.
I like it. I like it a lot.
All right. Yeah, we have Andrew up next in a couple minutes doing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. So it'll be fun.
That'll be exciting.
Oh, I like the little
right.
flower.
Thank you. Now the problem is I had it on another layer, so we just gotta move you around on your own. Oops. Whoops. Didn't want to do that. All right. Let's try this again. Okay. All right, that's gonna be my final little detail on this one. Just a little
Into it.
flower going on. I see it always happens. I managed to get my layers a little jumbled. I try and keep them all separate. Didn't happen. It's okay. I'll go back later and organize it. And
I like how Fresco doesn't have any of the layers named.
Oh,
Because they're just like, it's fine. You
It's
can
fine.
tell visually what it is. It's fine.
sometimes though,
Yeah, you wish you could have
every so often, I wish there was some way to like distinguish it, because some of these I have something that's an image that's all white, so you don't really see it against the grid, or if you're in a big file. But other than that, I do like the image more because it's just kind of easier to be like, oh, this. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a little shading under you. Ooh, not that much shading. Nope. Undo. Anyone that thinks they can't draw, you can. Just keep hitting undo until it works.
Into it.
All right.
Looking great.
Thank you so much.
Can you show it full screen?
Yep. I think, I think this is kind of this is a good spot. I think this is a good spot.
Yay, Jess, you did an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
So impressed. And you're going to start something new tomorrow.
Yes, we're going to do another positive doodle, but we're gonna play around in Photoshop on iPad instead. So, fun fact before we go though, in case you're not very familiar with the programs, I can take this file and go and open up in Photoshop on iPad. Fresco and Photoshop files are compatible, so you can work certain things on one, go and open it in the other. It's really cool stuff. So
into it.
Thank you so
Molly
much.
says amazing job.
Thank you.
Heather says amazing job.
Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you to Sarah as well. Chris says awesome. Well, cool. Everybody's just saying awesome. You did an awesome job. Looks amazing.
Thank you all so much.
Congratulations. Appreciate you. I'm glad we could have you back tomorrow as well.
I can't wait.
Same time.
Same place.
9:30 Pacific time. We'll leave you with the schedule. We have Andrew up next. Daily Creative Challenge. Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe, everybody. Wash your hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Is it just you and me now? Okay. Everyone's still awesome then. Check.